You did not arrive at this moment by accident. And you are not watching this just to pass the time. Right now, not tomorrow, not next year, not when everything feels ready. You have the ability to change the direction of your life. This moment holds more power than you've been taught to believe. Many people think change is something that happens later, after the right sign, after the perfect opportunity, after life becomes easier. But the truth is simpler and more confronting than that. Change only happens now. The universe is not distant. It is not indifferent. It is not ignoring you. It is constantly responding, not to what you hope for someday, but to what you choose to embody in this moment. Think about that for a second. Every day you wake up, before you check your phone, before the world reminds you who you've been, you are given a quiet choice, a fork in the road that most people don't even notice. You can choose to remain the same person you were yesterday, thinking the same thoughts, reacting the same way, telling the same story about your life. Or you can choose to become someone new, someone more aware, someone stronger, someone who responds instead of reacts, someone who understands that identity shapes destiny. This choice happens every day, and it happens whether you're conscious of it or not. Most people don't actively choose. They drift, they repeat, they default to the familiar, even when the familiar keeps them stuck. Not because they're weak, but because familiarity feels safe. And yet, inside, there's often a quiet knowing. There's more than this. That knowing is not random. It's not imagination. It's an inner signal, a reminder of your capacity to grow, to expand, to live differently. But here's the part no one likes to hear. Change is not easy. But it is simple. Not simple because it requires no effort, but simple because it follows a clear principle. Your life changes when you change. Not your circumstances first. Not other people. Not luck. You. This doesn't mean forcing positivity or pretending everything is fine. It means understanding the nature of how reality responds to identity. The universe doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It waits for a decision. A decision to stop living on autopilot. A decision to take responsibility for your inner world. A decision to become someone who acts with intention rather than habit. And that decision doesn't require a dramatic leap. It doesn't require quitting your job or moving across the world. It begins internally, with awareness. Awareness of your thoughts. Awareness of your emotional patterns. Awareness of how often you repeat the same inner conversations. Because those inner conversations are quietly shaping your future. So let me ask you something, honestly. If nothing changed externally for a while, if no one validated your growth, if the only thing you could rely on was your inner choice, who would you choose to be today? The universe is not testing you. It is reflecting you. And it has been waiting, not for you to be perfect, but for you to be conscious. This moment is not asking you to fix your entire life. It's asking you to recognize your power. The power to choose again. The power to shift direction. The power to stop postponing the person you know you're capable of becoming. Because the greatest mistake people make is believing transformation is something that happens to them. It isn't. It happens through them. And it begins right here. Every change in your life begins with a thought. Not an action, not a circumstance, a thought. This may sound simple, almost too simple, but this is where most people misunderstand how reality works. They try to change their behavior without changing their thinking. They try to fix their outer world while leaving their inner world untouched. And then they wonder why nothing truly changes. Your thoughts are not neutral. They are creative. Every thought you repeatedly entertain shapes how you see the world, how you feel inside your body, and ultimately, what kind of future you step into. Thoughts don't just describe reality, they define it. Think about it for a moment. Two people can experience the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. One feels defeated, the other feels motivated. The difference is not the event, it's the thinking behind it. Your thoughts shape your perception. Your perception guides your choices. And your choices build your future. Here's what makes this even more powerful. Your brain does not clearly distinguish between what happens in the outer world and what happens in your inner world. To your nervous system, A vividly imagined thought can feel just as real as an actual experience. When you think a thought, especially one charged with emotion, your brain reacts as if it's happening right now. It releases chemicals, it activates neural circuits, it sends signals throughout your body. This means your body is constantly responding to your inner dialogue. When you replay fear-based thoughts, worry, regret, self-doubt, your brain releases stress chemicals. Your body tightens, your energy drops. Over time, these repeated patterns create well-worn neural pathways that make those states feel automatic. But the same mechanism works in the opposite direction. When you intentionally think thoughts aligned with growth, possibility, and confidence, your brain begins producing different chemistry. New neural pathways form, your emotional baseline shifts, and slowly, your default state changes. This is not positive thinking as denial. This is understanding how biology and consciousness interact. Your mind is always learning, always adapting, always wiring itself based on what you focus on. And the thoughts you return to most often become the thoughts that feel most natural, even if they're limiting. This is why change doesn't start with forcing new habits. It starts with awareness. Awareness of what you're repeatedly telling yourself about who you are, what's possible, and what kind of life you're allowed to have. So ask yourself, gently, honestly, what thoughts do I rehearse when no one is listening? What story do I tell myself about my abilities, my past, my future? Am I thinking from possibility or from protection? Because protection-based thinking, even when it feels logical, often keeps you stuck. It's designed to avoid discomfort, not to create expansion. The moment you understand this, you reclaim power. You realize that your thoughts are not facts. They are habits. And habits can be changed. Not overnight, not perfectly, but intentionally. When you begin choosing thoughts that align with the version of yourself you want to become, even before it feels natural, you begin reshaping your inner world. And as your inner world changes, your outer experience has no choice but to follow. This is where manifestation actually begins. Not with wishing, not with waiting, but with thinking differently, on purpose. Because the future you're moving toward is being shaped right now by the thoughts you're allowing to live rent-free in your mind. Change your thinking, and you don't just change your mood. You change your biology. You change your behavior. You change your direction. And that's how reality begins to shift, from the inside out. Your emotions are not just reactions. They are signals. Every time you feel something, stress, gratitude, fear, excitement, your body and the world around you are receiving information. Most people believe emotions are caused by external events. But in reality, emotions are the bridge between your inner world and your physical experience. Let's start with something familiar: worry. When you worry, your body doesn't interpret it as just a thought. It reacts as if the danger is happening right now. Stress hormones are released. Your nervous system shifts into survival mode. Muscles tighten. Breathing becomes shallow. Your system becomes overloaded. Nothing may actually be wrong in the present moment, but your body is already preparing for impact. That's why prolonged worry leads to exhaustion, anxiety, and burnout. You're not just thinking about problems, you're living them internally. Now here's the shift most people miss. When you intentionally focus on positive outcomes, when you visualize success, when you feel genuine gratitude, your body responds in a completely different way. Energy increases, motivation rises, your nervous system moves out of defense and into creativity. This is not imagination for entertainment. It's biology responding to emotional input. Everything in the universe, including you, operates as energy, not in a mystical sense alone, but in a measurable one. Thoughts carry frequency, emotions carry intensity, and energy interacts with energy. What you consistently feel becomes the signal you broadcast. And energy attracts energy that matches it. You've experienced this, even if you didn't have language for it. Think about days when you wake up in a bad mood. Small things go wrong, traffic feels heavier, conversations feel tense, even neutral events seem irritating. It feels like the world is working against you. Then think about days when you wake up feeling light, optimistic, open, Things seem to flow. You find the parking spot. Someone smiles at you. An opportunity appears unexpectedly. The same world, different experience. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. The universe isn't punishing you on bad days or rewarding you on good ones. It's reflecting your energetic state back to you through circumstances, people, and timing. This doesn't mean you have to feel good all the time. It means you become conscious of what you're dwelling in. Because emotions are powerful attractors. When you stay in fear, you attract more situations that reinforce fear. When you stay in gratitude, you begin to notice more reasons to feel grateful. And here's where manifestation becomes practical. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you consistently feel. That's why combining positive focus with visualization and gratitude is so effective. Visualization gives your mind a direction. Gratitude gives your body a state of fulfillment. Together, they create coherence. You're no longer hoping from lack. You're feeling from alignment. Ask yourself this. What emotional state am I spending most of my time in? What energy am I rehearsing daily? If my emotions were a broadcast, what would they be attracting? Because the universe is always responding, not selectively, not occasionally, but continuously. The moment you understand this, you stop trying to control outcomes and start managing your inner state. You realize that emotional mastery isn't about suppression. It's about direction. When you consciously choose emotions that support growth, even in small doses, you shift your energetic signature. And when your energy shifts, the experiences that match it begin to find you. Not because you forced them, but because you became receptive to them. That's the law at work, not as magic, but as alignment. And alignment always precedes change. Your brain does not know the difference between reality and vivid imagination. And this single fact changes everything. Most people assume that imagination is just fantasy, something separate from real life. But your brain doesn't see it that way. To your nervous system, a vividly imagined experience, when paired with emotion, is processed almost the same as an actual event. This is why memories can make your heart race. Why thinking about a past failure can tighten your chest. And why imagining success can instantly lift your mood. Your brain responds to experience, whether that experience happens outside of you or inside of you. When you vividly imagine something and allow yourself to feel it deeply, your brain activates as if it's real. Neural circuits fire, chemicals are released, pathways strengthen, your body begins to adapt. This is not theory. This is how learning works. This is how habits form. And this is how identity shifts. But here's where most people misunderstand visualization. They visualize without emotion. They picture outcomes briefly, casually, without embodiment. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Visualization is not about seeing. It's about feeling. If you imagine a future but still feel doubt, lack, or distance, your brain receives mixed signals. The emotional state always overrides the image. That's why the core of this practice is not just imagining what you want, but experiencing who you are when it's already happening. Ask yourself this. How would I feel if this were already true? How would my body relax? How would my posture change? How would I move through the day? When you allow those sensations to arise, even briefly, your brain begins creating new neural pathways that support that identity. And repetition is what makes them stick. One visualization won't change your life, but consistent emotional rehearsal will. Think of it like going to the gym. You don't build strength by lifting a weight once. You build it through repeated engagement. Visualization works the same way. You're training your nervous system to become familiar with a new state. Familiarity is powerful. The brain prioritizes what feels familiar, not what's true, not what's best, but what it knows. When fear, limitation, or lack feels familiar, the brain will default to it, even if it causes suffering. But when success, calm, confidence, or abundance begin to feel familiar, the brain reorganizes behavior to match. This is how energy changes. Energy is not something you force. It shifts naturally when your inner state becomes coherent. When thoughts, emotions, and imagery align, Your system stabilizes around a new baseline. And that baseline influences how you speak, how you decide, what you tolerate, what you notice. This is why visualization must be practiced, not performed. It's not something you do once when you're inspired. It's something you return to, especially when the outer world hasn't caught up yet. Because the moment you stop rehearsing the old identity internally, you weaken its hold, and the moment you consistently rehearse the new one, you give it structure. This doesn't require hours. It requires presence. A few minutes in the morning. A pause during the day. A moment before sleep. Each time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you're telling your brain, this is safe. This is familiar. This is who I am becoming. And your brain listens. Over time, your reactions change. Your confidence stabilizes. Your energy shifts without effort. The outer world begins responding, not because you forced it, but because your inner state changed first. So remember this. Visualization is not pretending. It's preparation. You're not escaping reality. You're training yourself for the version of reality you're stepping into. And the more consistently you practice feeling it as real, the less your brain resists it, until one day, it no longer feels imagined at all. It feels like home. Your current reality is not a prediction of your future. It's a reflection of your past. This is one of the most freeing truths you can understand. What you see around you right now, your circumstances, your results, your patterns, they are not evidence of what's coming. They are echoes of what you've been thinking, feeling, and doing up until now. And echoes can fade. Most people make the mistake of assuming that today's conditions define tomorrow's possibilities. They look at their bank account, their relationships, their health, and they say, this is just how my life is. But that conclusion is based on momentum, not destiny. Momentum can be redirected. Your present moment is not here to limit you. It's here to inform you. If you want change, the first step is not fighting your current reality. Resistance keeps you locked in place. The second step is not denying problems or pretending everything is fine. Denial disconnects you from truth. The real shift happens when you change focus. Where attention goes, energy flows. If you keep feeding energy into what you don't want, worrying about it, replaying it, talking about it, you keep reinforcing the same patterns. Not because you're weak, but because attention strengthens whatever it touches. So the question becomes, what am I giving energy to right now? Changing focus doesn't mean ignoring challenges. It means changing how you relate to them. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of seeing obstacles as proof you're stuck, see them as invitations to develop new skills, new perspectives, and a stronger identity. Challenges don't arrive to punish you. They arrive to upgrade you. Every challenge carries a lesson. Every setback carries information. Every delay is shaping patience, clarity, or resilience, if you allow it. This is where identity shift becomes real. The universe does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are. If you want abundance but remain identified with scarcity, the signal is mixed. If you want peace but live in constant resistance, the reflection will match that tension. This is not judgment. It's alignment. Life mirrors the state you consistently embody. When you shift your inner posture, from victim to learner, from fear to curiosity, from resistance to responsibility, the external conditions begin to reorganize. Not immediately, not magically, but inevitably. Because you're no longer reacting to the past. You're creating from the present. And the present is the only place where power exists. Think about it. The future is built from decisions made now. From the thoughts you choose to entertain now. From the emotions you allow to define you now. From the actions you take, or avoid, now. The moment you stop treating your current reality as a verdict and start treating it as feedback, you reclaim agency. You stop asking life to change first. You change your relationship to life. This doesn't mean everything suddenly feels easy. Growth rarely does, but it does mean you're no longer waiting for conditions to improve before you step into your power. You become the cause, not the effect. So ask yourself, what if this moment isn't blocking me, but preparing me? What if the challenge I'm facing is shaping the version of me that can handle what I'm asking for next? What if my future is not determined by what I see, but by who I choose to be right now? Because the universe is always responding. Not to your wishes, not to your complaints, but to your state of being. Shift that, and the future follows. Your current reality is not the destination. It's the starting point. And what you do with it, starting now, is what changes everything. If you want to change your life, you must become someone new. Not someday, not after circumstances improve, now. This is where many people misunderstand transformation. They try to change outcomes without changing identity. They want new results, but they continue thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and taking the same actions. And life simply reflects that back. Life does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are becoming. Different results require a different inner structure. That means different thoughts, different emotional patterns, and different behaviors, aligned with the version of you who already lives the life you desire. This isn't about pretending. It's about practicing identity. Ask yourself this: if my life were already different, how would I think? What assumptions would I make about myself? What emotions would I carry into the day? How would I act when challenges appear? Those answers reveal the person you need to become. And one of the most powerful places to begin that shift is the morning. The way you start your day quietly programs your nervous system. Before the world makes its demands, before old patterns are reinforced, you have a window where your mind is open and impressionable. Most people miss this window. They wake up and immediately reconnect with the past, checking messages, replaying worries, rushing into stress, and without realizing it, they step straight back into yesterday's identity. But you can choose differently. Each morning, pause, even for a few minutes. Set an intention for the day, not a to-do list, but a state of being. Calm, confidence, clarity, presence. Then take a moment to sit in stillness. Meditation doesn't require silence or perfection. It simply creates space between you and automatic thinking. In that space, you remember that you are not your thoughts. You are the one choosing them. After that, move your body gently. A short walk, stretching, light movement. This shifts your chemistry and signals readiness to your nervous system. You're telling your body, I'm alive, capable, and engaged. Then comes visualization, not as fantasy, but as alignment. Picture your ideal future, not in detail for detail's sake, but in feeling. See yourself living it. Sense how that version of you breathes, moves, speaks, and responds. And most importantly, feel gratitude, not for what you hope will happen, but for what you are already becoming. Gratitude is powerful because it communicates completion. It tells the universe, I am no longer waiting. And the universe responds to that signal with experiences that match it. But understand this: becoming a new person doesn't happen in the morning alone. The morning sets the tone, the day reinforces it. Throughout the day, you will be tested. Old habits will surface. Old emotional reactions will try to pull you back. That's not failure, that's practice. Each moment becomes an opportunity to ask, am I responding as my old self, or my new self? Choosing differently may feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is not a sign you're wrong, it's a sign you're changing. Familiarity feels safe, even when it keeps you small. Growth always feels unfamiliar before it feels natural. And slowly, something shifts. Your reactions soften. Your confidence stabilizes. Your decisions align. And life begins to reflect that internal shift, not because you forced it, but because you embodied it. So remember this: you don't change your life by chasing outcomes. You change your life by becoming the person those outcomes belong to. And that process begins each morning. With intention, awareness, movement, vision, and gratitude. Become first. And let life respond. Transformation doesn't end with a good morning routine. It's carried through the ordinary moments of your day. Many people start strong. They meditate. They set intentions, they feel aligned, and then, by mid-morning, an email arrives, a conversation triggers an old reaction, or stress pulls them back into familiar habits. By evening, They're wondering why nothing changed. This is where real change is either reinforced or undone. Maintaining your state throughout the day begins with awareness, not control. Awareness. Negative thoughts will appear. That's normal. The goal isn't to eliminate them. It's to notice them before they take over. Awareness creates space, and space creates choice. When you catch a negative thought, fear, doubt, frustration, pause. Don't argue with it. Don't push it away. Simply stop. Take a breath. One slow inhale. One steady exhale. That pause interrupts momentum. In that pause, choose again. Ask yourself, is this thought aligned with who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, gently select another perspective, one that's grounded and empowering. Not forced positivity, but a clearer frame. This is how you keep your inner state on course. Maintenance is not constant effort. It's consistent correction. Now let's talk about action, because thoughts alone aren't enough. Your actions must come from your new identity, not your old patterns. If you visualize confidence but act from fear, the signal is mixed. The universe responds to coherence when your thoughts, emotions, and actions point in the same direction. Throughout the day, ask, what would the version of me I'm becoming do in this moment? That version might speak calmly instead of reacting. Set a boundary instead of people-pleasing. Take responsibility instead of waiting. Rest intentionally instead of proving worth through exhaustion. These actions may feel unfamiliar. That's not a problem, that's progress. Growth requires leaving the comfort zone. The comfort zone exists to preserve identity, not expand it. Stepping outside of it isn't reckless, it's deliberate. It's how you tell life, I'm serious about who I'm becoming. And yes, failure will happen. You'll make mistakes. You'll feel awkward. You'll choose wrong sometimes. Failure isn't a sign to stop. It's evidence that you're practicing something new. The universe doesn't respond to perfection, it responds to courage and consistency. Each time you act from your new self, especially when it's uncomfortable, you strengthen that identity. You're casting a vote for who you are now. This doesn't mean pushing all the time. Sometimes the brave action is staying present with discomfort instead of escaping it. Sometimes it's choosing patience over reaction. Sometimes it's asking for help. Alignment isn't loud, it's honest. Throughout the day, keep returning to one question. Am I reinforcing my old self, or my new self? Every moment is a vote. One choice won't define you, but patterns will, and patterns are built from small, repeated decisions. You don't need to win every moment. You need to keep choosing again. As you maintain your state, through awareness, aligned action, and willingness to grow, your identity stabilizes. And when identity stabilizes, life responds. Conversations change. Opportunities appear. Circumstances shift. Not because you forced outcomes, but because you became someone different. Transformation isn't an event. It's a practice carried through ordinary moments. And the more consistently you maintain that state, the easier it becomes. What once felt uncomfortable becomes familiar. What once felt impossible becomes normal. That's how the universe responds, quietly, steadily, to who you choose to be throughout the day. And the best part? You get another chance to choose in the very next moment. You don't need to change everything at once. In fact, trying to do that is often what stops people from changing at all. Real transformation doesn't happen through overload. It happens through focus. When you try to fix every area of your life at the same time, your health, your relationships, your career, your confidence, you exhaust your energy and confuse your nervous system. The mind resists. Old patterns pull you back. Instead, lasting change begins with one clear decision. Choose one area of your life to focus on right now. Just one. Your health, your relationships, your career, your self-worth. Pick the area that feels most important, where progress would naturally influence everything else. Then ask yourself a deeper question. Who would I need to become to have what I want in this area? Not what would I need to do, but who would I need to be? What would that version of you think when challenges appear? How would they feel about themselves? What actions would they take consistently, even when motivation fades? This is where identity shift becomes practical. You're not chasing results. You're practicing becoming the person who naturally creates them. At first, this will feel uncomfortable. It may even feel fake. You might think, I'm just pretending. That reaction is normal. Every new identity feels artificial before it feels authentic. But here's something important to understand. Your brain doesn't require belief to create change. It responds to repetition. When you repeatedly think new thoughts, feel new emotions, and take new actions, even deliberately, your brain forms new neural pathways. Chemistry changes, perception shifts, behavior adjusts. So even if it feels like pretending at first, something real is happening beneath the surface. And then, quietly, small changes begin to show up. You respond differently in conversations. You feel slightly more confident. You notice opportunities you used to miss. People begin treating you differently. These small shifts are not random. They are feedback. They are the universe's way of saying, I see the change, keep going. But this is where many people make a mistake. They see small results and assume the work is done. They relax their focus. They slip back into old habits. And the momentum fades. Small results are not the finish line. They are confirmation. Think of it like learning a new skill. You don't stop practicing the moment you improve. You refine. You deepen. You stabilize the new pattern. The universe responds the same way. It mirrors consistency, not excitement. So when you notice small wins, don't stop. Stay with the process. Continue reinforcing the thoughts, emotions, and actions of the person you're becoming. Transformation isn't loud, it's cumulative. Each small choice compounds. Each aligned decision strengthens the new identity. Over time, what once felt effortful becomes natural. And that's when real change locks in. The goal isn't speed. It's permanence. You're not here to momentarily improve, you're here to evolve. So give yourself permission to move slowly and deliberately. Focus on one area. Practice one identity shift at a time. Let the brain adapt. Let the nervous system settle. Let the universe respond. Because when change is gradual, it lasts. And one day, you'll realize something powerful. The life you once worked toward is no longer something you're trying to create. It's simply who you are now. That's not luck. That's persistence. And the universe always responds to that. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. This is where many people get stuck. They ask for more abundance, more love, more freedom, while holding tightly to the same beliefs and habits that created their current life. And the universe simply mirrors that back. If you want a new reality, something old must be released. Not punished. Not judged. Released. This is what people mean when they talk about letting the old self die. It doesn't mean erasing your past or rejecting who you've been. It means loosening your attachment to identities that no longer serve you. Old beliefs. Old habits. Old stories about who you were and what's possible. Beliefs like, this is just how I am, or, people like me don't get that, or, my past determines my future. These beliefs feel real because they've been repeated, but repetition is not truth. To become someone new, you must stop protecting the old version of yourself. This can feel uncomfortable, even frightening. The ego exists to maintain familiarity. It wants predictability, not expansion. It will resist change by reminding you of your past, your limitations, your labels. But here's the truth. You are not your past. You are not your circumstances. You are not your job title or the balance in your bank account. Those are conditions, not identity. Who you are is not defined by what happened to you. Who you are is defined by what you choose to embody now. At your core, you are a being with the capacity to grow, adapt, and create. You are not fixed. You are not finished. You are potential in motion. And more than that, you are not separate from life. You are part of it. The same intelligence that shapes seasons, tides, and galaxies is expressing itself through you as awareness, choice, and intention. When you begin to see yourself this way, your relationship with the universe changes. You stop begging it to deliver outcomes and start aligning with its principles. Alignment requires letting go. You cannot carry the old identity into a new life and expect coherence. The universe responds to consistency. When you say you want expansion but continue living from fear, the signal is mixed. Letting go doesn't happen once. It happens daily. Just like physical fitness requires regular training, identity change requires daily mental practice. You don't go to the gym once and stay strong forever. You don't shift your self-concept once and expect it to hold without reinforcement. Each day, you practice. You notice an old belief arise, and you question it. You catch an old habit, and you pause before repeating it. You feel the pull of the old identity, and you choose differently. This is mental and emotional fitness. And like any form of training, it can feel uncomfortable at first. The old self will push back. It will tell you change is risky or unrealistic. It will try to pull you back into what's familiar. That resistance is not a sign you're failing. It's a sign the old identity is losing control. The moment you stop defining yourself by your past, you create space, and the universe responds to space. New ideas enter, new opportunities appear, new relationships form. Not because you forced life to change, but because you changed who you're being. So don't ask, why hasn't it happened yet? Ask instead, what am I still identifying with that no longer belongs to me? Release that, patiently, compassionately, consistently. Because the universe does not reward wanting. It reflects becoming. And every day you practice letting go of the old self, you step closer to the life that can only meet you once you do. This is not loss. This is evolution. And like any evolution, it happens one conscious choice at a time. Every single day, you are choosing yourself again. Whether you realize it or not. You don't just wake up and live on autopilot. You make quiet decisions from the moment you open your eyes. Decisions about how you see yourself. Decisions about what thoughts you allow to shape your mood. Decisions about what emotional state you carry into the world. And those decisions matter more than any affirmation or technique. Each day, you are asked to choose. Will I return to the old version of myself, or will I step forward as who I'm becoming? Choosing yourself means choosing elevated thinking. Not unrealistic optimism, but higher perspective. It means noticing the familiar thoughts that shrink you. I'm not ready. It's too late. That's not for me. And consciously choosing a different lens. What if this works out? What if I'm more capable than I think? What if this moment is guiding me somewhere better? Thoughts like these don't deny reality, they expand it. And when your thinking expands, your emotional state follows. Choosing positive emotion doesn't mean pretending everything feels good. It means deliberately shifting out of fear, resentment, or hopelessness and into states that support movement, curiosity, trust, calm determination. Because emotion is fuel, and the universe responds to fuel. As you move through life, the universe continuously offers feedback. It brings opportunities. It sends subtle signs. It creates moments of alignment that feel almost too precise to ignore. But here's the truth. Opportunities only matter if you recognize them. That's where awareness comes in. Many people say they want guidance, but they move too fast to notice it. They ask for signs, then dismiss them as coincidence. They receive intuitive nudges, then talk themselves out of acting on them. Intuition doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up as a quiet sense of yes, even when logic hesitates. It's the inner pull towards something that feels aligned, meaningful, or necessary. Learning to trust your intuition is learning to trust yourself. And trust requires action. The universe does not respond to hesitation. It responds to commitment. When something feels aligned, when an opportunity resonates, your role is not to wait for perfect certainty, it's to act decisively. Not recklessly, but honestly. Action taken from alignment sends a powerful signal. I am serious about who I'm becoming. And the universe answers that signal with momentum. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. When you take aligned action, even small action, you reinforce your new identity. You tell life, this is who I am now, and life rearranges itself to reflect that consistency. But understand this, consistency matters more than intensity. One day of motivation won't change your life. Daily recommitment will. Each day, choose again. Choose thoughts that expand you. Choose emotions that stabilize you. Choose actions that reflect your future self, not your past habits. And when fear appears, because it will, don't see it as a stop sign. See it as confirmation that you're crossing an old boundary. Fear often shows up right before alignment deepens. Ask yourself, am I willing to trust what I feel called toward? Am I willing to act before I feel completely ready? Because readiness doesn't come before action. It comes because of it. The universe is not testing you. It is responding to your level of commitment. When you show up with courage, life meets you there. When you move with clarity, opportunities align. When you commit to becoming, the universe commits to reflecting it back. And one day, you'll realize something quietly powerful. The universe didn't suddenly change. You did. And that's why everything else followed. So choose yourself today. Choose again tomorrow. And keep choosing, with awareness, courage, and trust. Because the universe is always responding. The only question is, what are you choosing to be? Every challenge you face is not here to break you. It is here to grow you. Most people see difficulty as a sign that something has gone wrong. They assume resistance means they're off track. But growth has never worked that way. Strength is not built in comfort. Clarity is not formed in ease. Expansion requires pressure. Every challenge you encounter is asking one simple question. Who are you willing to become? Success is not random. It is proportional to the level of challenge you are willing to face without retreating into your old identity. The greater the vision, the greater the inner transformation required to hold it. And transformation is not a destination. It is a continuous journey. There is no final moment where you arrive and stop choosing. There is no finish line where responsibility ends. Growth is not something you achieve once, it's something you live daily through conscious decisions. Every thought you think, every emotion you allow to linger, every action you take, or avoid, each one is sending a signal. You are constantly communicating with life, not through words, but through your inner state. The universe doesn't respond to wishes or promises. It responds to consistency. It mirrors who you are being most of the time. When you operate from fear, life reflects hesitation. When you operate from doubt, life reflects delay. When you operate from clarity, courage, and commitment, life responds accordingly. This is not reward or punishment. It is alignment. You are not a passive observer watching life happen to you. You are an active participant in its creation. You are shaping outcomes moment by moment through the identity you choose to live from. You are the creator, the author, the one holding the pen. And authors don't wait for the story to write itself. They decide what this chapter means. They decide whether the struggle becomes a breaking point or a turning point. The power you are searching for has never been outside of you. It has always lived in your ability to choose, right now, how you respond to this moment. Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Now. This moment is where identity is formed. This moment is where direction is set. This moment is where the signal is sent. So ask yourself, who am I choosing to be right now? What am I reinforcing with my thoughts? What future am I feeding with my actions? Because the universe is listening, not selectively, not occasionally, constantly. It listens through patterns. It responds through circumstances. It mirrors through experience. And it does so without judgment. The universe is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be conscious, present, responsible. You don't need to know every step. You don't need to feel fearless. You don't need permission. You only need to take responsibility for the choice in front of you. One choice. One thought. One aligned action. And then choose again. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens through consistency, through choosing your higher self more often than your old patterns. And one day, you'll look back and realize something quietly powerful. The challenges didn't disappear. You outgrew them. The universe didn't suddenly change. You did. So remember this. The power is not coming. It is already here. The time is not someday. It is now. And the universe is not waiting for proof. It is responding to who you choose to be, in this very moment. Choose consciously. Choose courageously. Choose responsibility. Because the life you want is not found. It is created, choice by choice, moment by moment. And the universe is listening.